Hi, everyone. My name's Carly. I'm the Program Director at Interactive Ontario. We are co-hosting Arts Futures this summer with the Cultural Human Resources Council, and this is the last workshop in this series, so thank you for coming. And then next week, we will have an evening networking reception back here on art and video games, so all of you will receive a code to register for that for free if you'd like to come. So that will be going out probably today or tomorrow. Before we get started, I'd like to say a big thank you to our partners on this series, which is Canada Council for the Arts under their Digital Strategy Fund. They've provided the financial support to make this series possible, so a huge thank you to them. And as well, I'd like to thank Toronto Media Arts Centre, which is our venue here today, for being our venue partner and letting us use their great space. So now I would like to introduce our speaker today. I'm very excited to have her here. Her name is Molly Garber, and she is a consultant at Capacity Interactive. She works with leading arts institutions such as Jazz at Lincoln Center, Yale Repertory Theatre, Jacob's Pillow Dance Festival, the Vancouver International Film Festival, and the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Prior to joining the Capacity Interactive team, she worked as a marketing specialist for a national professional services firm. Molly graduated from Boston University College of Fine Arts with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting. So now I will turn things over to her.
Thank you so much for having me here today. For my presentation, I'm going to talk about 4 digital marketing priorities that are important to the success of all organizations, and particularly arts organizations, no matter what the size or budget. My name is Molly Garber. As Carly said, a little bit about me. I'm a consultant at Capacity Interactive, which means I work with arts organizations from digital strategy all the way up through execution. And my background is in the arts, in theater. I pulled up this gem of me doing A Christmas Carol many years ago, which is just to say that I love the arts and I'm able to bring my passion into my job every day. So the Capacity Interactive team is approximately 60 arts marketers based in New York City. We work with over 150 of the nation's leading arts organizations from every genre: theater, opera, dance, museums, you name it. And we also have started to work with some Canadian organizations as well. We work with most of our clients on a retainer basis doing their digital marketing, and we also have an analytics practice, search engine marketing, SEO, and we do consulting on other projects individually. So a big mission at Capacity Interactive is education for the arts industry. This is a picture from our digital marketing bootcamp. It's a 2-day conference in New York City. This year will be our 8th, and last year we had nearly 400 representatives come from arts organizations all over the country. It's a really exciting couple of days. We also do some smaller form education, which is our Capacity Classroom series, which is in person in New York City. And we also do this via webinar, and we take it to different cities across the country. Last year, CI launched a podcast called CI2I, and our president, Eric Gensler, interviews different leaders and thinkers in the industry on marketing strategy and organizational culture, and it's really just another way that CI is committed to bringing access to education and professional development to the arts industry. So last year, Capacity released 2 studies that I'm going to reference a bunch in the presentation, so I want to make sure everybody's very familiar with them. The first is the Arts Industry Digital Marketing Benchmark Study. This is something we've done every year for the past several years, and we're going to start doing it every other year. And what we did was ask organizations, survey them to see how they behave with digital marketing. So we got about 206 responses and had to weed out a couple that were not totally filled out, and we ended up with 182 arts organization responses to pull the data from. And it was questions like, how are you tracking conversions? What kind of analytics are you doing on your website? What kind of content plans do you have? So this is a really great resource for arts organizations to benchmark what they're doing. We also, last year for the first time, did the Performing Arts Ticket Buyer Media Usage Study. This was really exciting for us. We were able to ask the question to ticket buyers, how are you using media to research live events and to inform your ticket buying? We got 58 performing and visual arts organizations to participate all over the continent. We had 27,000 responses to put this data together with. And we learned a lot about current data. We learned a lot of current data on media consumption habits, specifically of arts industry buyers, which is really important for us because it is such a specific industry. Kind of the crossover between entertainment and nonprofit is where we work. Google had done a similar study a few years ago that was just about interaction with Google Media, so it was exciting to be able to really broaden that, get some current data, and learn how people interact with all media platforms. So if you're interested in getting these two studies and a copy of today's presentation, you can text Talk Nerdy to me to 393939, and we will send that to you shortly. So what are we here to talk about today? Yeah, of course. Everybody got that? Okay. Okay, so we know with digital marketing, it's a very overwhelming landscape. There are a lot of shiny buzzwords and new platforms popping up all the time. And as arts marketers, we have board members who want you to try new things. And we're here to say, just don't take the bait. The goal of today's presentation is to bring some clarity to what is an overwhelming landscape. So the 4 priorities that we're going to talk about today are mobile, social storytelling, video, and search. But first, I want to talk a little bit about permission marketing because it is the background of everything we do at CI. It really is the foundation that we work on and the foundation that digital marketing works on as well. So this is what the world used to look like. But there's been a fundamental shift in how people consume media. At this day and age, it was reading newspapers, the family gathered around the television, people listened to the radio. But there's been a big shift to looking like this. This is my commute in the morning on the New York City subway system. We are addicted to our devices. Everything we see on the internet is curated for us. We rely on data-driven recommendations, such as watching a few videos on YouTube and then having YouTube suggest a few other videos that we might like. We pay to skip advertising altogether, or we expect companies to really target their advertising to exactly what I am looking for. So this is a chart of time spent with Medium per day. And what's really interesting about this is not some massive decline of print and radio. That's not happening, but the incredible increase in consumption of digital. It went in 2011 from approximately 3 hours to 6 hours. And part of what this shows is that users are using 2 screens all the time. They are commuting on their phones, they're at work doing work on their computer, and then they switch to just decompress for 5 minutes on Facebook. We're watching television and also on our tablets at the same time. So digital adoption has been really fast and furious. We're going to talk about that. So whereas in the past, interruption marketing worked, you placed an ad on the television and nobody could TiVo through it, they had to watch your ad. Today, Seth Godin has a new school of thought, which is permission marketing. And the thought is that you cannot interrupt users anymore. You don't want to pummel them with your message. They will hate you for it, and they will run in the opposite direction. What you have to do is give them content that is appropriate for the relationship they have with your organization at that period in time. So the basis of permission marketing, as Seth Godin says, is to take strangers and make them into your friends, take your friends and make them into customers, and then take those customers and make them into evangelists. So how do we do that in practice in the real world? Well, it starts with content. Content that is anticipated, personal, and relevant. And by sharing exciting content with your users, you're able to start a conversation. And that conversation is what we call permission. Users give you an opt-in or a lead in several different forms. That could be an email to sign up for your newsletter. It could be somebody going to your website and putting themselves in a remarketing pool. It could be a social follow. But once you've gained that permission, you have the ability to start storytelling with your audiences in a way that can really deepen that connection. So once you've gotten that permission and you've started your communication and storytelling, you're hopefully able to drive sales and delight audiences, because that's what the arts is an emotional experience. So now that we have that foundation, let's jump into our priorities. Mobile is first. It is 2018, and we live in a squarely mobile-first world. We as consumers definitely know that, but arts organizations are lagging behind that. So raise your hand if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. Yeah, me too. It's great. It's so easy, one-click purchasing, and it's super convenient for us, and people are paying for that convenience. We know that about a third of the e-commerce is occurring on mobile devices, and that is growing. In 2017, it was 36%. 3 years prior, in 2014, it was just 12%. So it's really on the rise. We also know that users have totally adopted smartphone e-commerce. 62% have made purchases on their phones in the past 6 months. It's pretty incredible for a technology that didn't even exist 15 years ago. So this is a chart of a client's Google Analytics percentage of sessions by device. So the idea is what devices are people coming to my website on? And you can see starting in January 2014 all the way up through 2016, there is a steady decrease in desktop and alternatively a steady increase in mobile. Tablet has remained approximately the same, if decreased a tiny bit. But by 2016, mobile traffic has surpassed desktop traffic, which is really exciting and incredible. The problem is that mobile conversion rates are significantly lower than desktop conversion rates. This is data from the same client. A 0.6% conversion rate is just not going to cut it when it comes to selling tickets and filling theaters, and we have to figure out how to bridge that gap. So a big part of figuring that out is understanding the user journey. 65% of transactions start on mobile and end elsewhere. So we know that people are starting on their phone and for whatever reason are abandoning the search on their phone and moving to another platform. Today's path to purchase is long and confusing. It could start on several different devices and end up in a way that's not even digital at all, and we're unable to track. So this is an illustration of a customer journey. Say I am commuting in the morning and I see an ad on my cell phone, and then when I get to work, I do a little browsing on my work computer for the show, and I talk to my friends, we figure out when we're gonna go, which night, and then later on that evening, while I'm sitting on the couch, I'm also on my tablet, and I add the show to my shopping cart. But then I check with everybody else again, and before I go to bed that evening, I make a final purchase on my home computer. Who has had an experience like this? Yeah, we're all over the place. That's the way we function, and it's kind of unreasonable for organizations to believe that we have a single stream purchase path. So we know that nearly 40% of site visitors arrived on a smartphone last year, which is a good percentage. But we also know that 53% of mobile users will abandon a website if it fails to load in longer than 3 seconds. That is a very short period of time. If my website does not load in 3 seconds, half the users are going to drop off from that experience. Google also tells us that for every 1 second of additional load time, conversion rates drop by 20%, which is something as nonprofits that I work with just cannot afford to lose. And Google has also told us that mobile sites that load in 5 seconds earned almost double the amount of revenue that sites that took 19 seconds to load. So who has tested their website mobile load speed before? Great. Okay, we're all going to go home and do that this week. Google has this amazing tool called testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com, and it is very easy to do on your mobile phone. You test your site speed, and you may not like what you learn, but knowledge is power, and we can figure out whether mobile speed is something we need to prioritize. So let's do a little online shopping. The first thing we are going to buy are airline tickets. We're using the Virgin America mobile site. This is an actual experience that we recorded on our phones. What's amazing about this is it's extremely visual. There's so much white space on this screen, and it's very intuitive. And the reason we chose airfare is because of a couple reasons. One, it is seat selection, the same way that performing arts and visual arts have seat selection on their websites, and also because the airline industry definitely seems to be ahead of the curve in creating easy mobile experiences. So someone is selecting their seat right now as we speak, and they've already reached the page where they pay. What's amazing about this is Virgin America knows that their audiences are going to spend over $800 purchasing these tickets. We're not afraid to make big purchases on our phone yet. So let's try the same thing with theater tickets. This is a client's website, and I can use it as the bad example because they have since built a beautiful mobile-optimized purchase path. So here we go. This is their homepage. There's a lot of very tiny stuff on the homepage. We're going to watch the calendar, so much information on this calendar, so many tiny words on this page. There's no blank space. All right, so now we are going to attempt to select our seats. Imagine that in your hand. It's very small, and something goes wrong with the seat selection. The user is kind of fiddling around and being like, the thing that's supposed to pop up isn't happening. Wait, we'll give them one more try. No, okay, there it goes, that's seat selection. Okay, amazing, I can totally see where all those seats are and what my experience in the theater will be. I can't on a mobile phone, it's miserable. That takes over 1.5 minutes to finally get into the ticket buying path. So what we've learned from analysis of that specific site is very clear. The mobile conversion rate is 5.4%, or the desktop conversion rate, is 5.4, and the mobile conversion rate is 0.6. So clearly there's some work that we have to do. We have to remember that smartphones are not mini PCs. You're not just shrinking down the experience. It is a totally different experience on a phone. We have to start designing for smartphones. This is a heat chart of where the right-handed user would put their thumb on a screen. And what's amazing with this data is the Guthrie took their old experience, and on their new mobile optimized website, on the bottom, it has a persisting click to call button. They put it in the easiest place. It's always there. It shows me that they are trying to create a seamless experience for me. So through our benchmarking study, we found that 39% of arts organizations do not have a mobile-friendly single-ticket purchase path. We also learned that a whopping 61% of arts organizations do not have a mobile-friendly subscriptions path. This metric blows me out of the water every time I see it because these are our evangelists. These subscribers are people who are willing to spend quite a bit of money, willing to commit a lot of their time to a single organization, and we're making it really difficult for them to do that. We should make it really easy for them to do that. We also know that 37% of arts organizations do not have a mobile-friendly select your own seat. So these are definitely places where we could stand to improve. We learned that in 2017, approximately 55% of conversions occurred online, and that's up from the year before at 51%. So it's very exciting to see that users are definitely adopting e-commerce, but there is something we can do to help conversion rates increase. So let's talk about social storytelling. Who is using LinkedIn, Snapchat, or Pinterest? Okay, great. Who's using Twitter? Who is using the top 3, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram? Okay, awesome. Clients ask us all the time which platforms they should be using and spending their time on. And my clients as nonprofit arts organizations have limited time and limited resources. And the answer is always Facebook. And we're going to talk about why that is. You have to invest accordingly and create engaging content, and that's tough to do. So a few data points of why Facebook is always number 1. There is no age drop-off, this mythical drop-off of millennials or older users on Facebook. It's not impeding our ability to use the platform well, and it's really not occurring in a way that we are also terrified of it occurring. This is from our Ticket Buyer Media usage study, and you can see that, yes, there's a decline in usage of Facebook users from 18 to 75 and up, but the decline of Instagram and Snapchat goes to nearly zero in the case of Snapchat. Users are still on Facebook, and that's where we need to reach those eyes and ears. We also know that people spent an average of 51 minutes daily across Facebook platforms. And in Canada, 54% of Facebook users say they access the Facebook platform at least once daily. That's half of Facebook users are on it once daily. So if you combine the power of reach, that's how many people are using the platform, with usage, which is how much time they're spending on the platform, you get power. This is some data from Impacts Research. And the power across Facebook is clearly above and beyond any of the other platforms that there are. So with all that Facebook power, you want to be putting your best foot forward. How do you do that? Not with a post like this. This is a horrible post. Let's talk about why. It's a terrible image. I don't know if you can tell what that image is. It's of a basement. There's bad copy, one line of bad copy. There is no link to get me to more information. And most of all, it's not creative. And it's from an arts organization, which is just incredible. And I am guessing what happened here is they took care of all their traditional media, and then they were like, shoot, got to put something on Facebook also, and they sent an intern down to the basement to take some pictures of setup. And social cannot be just an afterthought anymore in the world. So we know that when people hear information, they're likely to remember 10% of that information up to 3 days later. But if you add an image to that information, they're likely to remember 65% 3 days later. And what's great for us is that we can have an impact on that 55%. So let's take a look at an example of this. This is a post from the Phoenix Symphony, which is a client of ours. It's a post for subscriptions. They're giving you a link to subscribe or a link to see the season brochure. A big part of subscription thing that drives subscriptions is that users like to have the exact same seat for all the shows that they go see year after year. That is a big incentive for them. This is the post without an image, and this is the post with an image. It's just far more impactful. That's a simple image to make. It's not tons of work. It shows me exactly where I want to be in the theater and gives me possibly a glimpse into the experience I'm about to have. So at CI, we subscribe to the 70-30 rule of engagement. This is a rule we made up. You won't find it in other places, but it's really great. The idea is that 70% of the time, You are giving your audience information that they want. You are putting information that is funny and educational and exciting and conversational with them. And if you do that well, you earn the right to then use a stronger call to action in 30% of your content. So let's take a look at what this might look like. This is a great 70% content post. That is the iconic reflecting pool at Lincoln Center for Shark Week. They have added a shark to it, which I just think is super fun. They're not taking themselves very seriously in this moment, which is great. And this is a post they can use year after year. Seattle Opera has found a great way to make music fun and funny. They know we want to see pictures of pets. They know we want to see puns. I love this pun, the baklava one. It just gets me every time. And the Goodman Theater created for Valentine's Day these theater pickup lines that are so sweet and totally thumb-stopping. Wave Hill, which is a garden in the Bronx in Upper New York, puts tons of posts out of what's going on in their garden, and they're gorgeous. They're like little gifts that I get each day in my social feed, and they don't ask me to visit at all. So what is that social sweet spot? It is the intersection of what's going on in the world and what's going on in your organization. But those posts take planning, and here are some examples of things you could do. The 92nd Street Y used this as their profile picture during Pride Week. The New Jersey Symphony Orchestra created this fun graphic to wish their audiences a happy 4th of July. And Jazz at Lincoln Center managed to combine both jazz music and candy for these Halloween posts, which are great for any jazz lover and for people who maybe don't know all the big names in jazz. The Joyce Theater, which is a dance theater in New York City, created this post that I love because it is such a strong dance image, and it talks about Manic Mondays. We all have Manic Mondays. They happen every week. You can be creating content for that. So now that you've created great content and started that conversation, you have the right to start, you've earned the right to start using stronger call to actions. This is from the Art League, which is a small art school and gallery right outside DC. They're not a small school, actually, they're rather large. And they have created this amazing voice that they've cultivated over years of engagement in social storytelling. They use beautiful images of work that their students are creating, and they've added a call to action that says, come look at the classes that you too could be taking. The Steppenwolf Theater has done this really well. They've got a video here of an actor getting into wardrobe, doing hair and makeup, and says, get info about the show. So I've spent all this time telling you that social is important, and let's figure out whether that is actually going to drive ticket sales for organizations. This is an example of a campaign that I ran for the Yale Repertory Theater, which is a regional theater in Connecticut. They spent just over $5,000 in media on Facebook, and they earned just over $20,000 in related ticket sales for a 300% ROI. And we did a campaign for the touring production of An American in Paris. For this campaign, we spent just over $25,000 in media. It's much larger scale than you saw a minute ago, but they earned $264,000 in revenue. All that is tied back to the campaigns for just under 1,000% ROI. That is money well spent. So this all starts with compelling content, and content is time and money. And we know that B2C marketers in North America are allocating approximately 30% of their budgets to creating this content. What do you think arts organizations are allocating to that? I'll give you a hint, it's a lot less. We learned in our benchmark study that over 50% of arts organizations are allocating under 5% of their budget to creating content. I find this incredible because they are creating content every day in their rehearsal rooms, on their stages, on their walls. It's so exciting, and why aren't they sharing it with us? It could possibly be because organizations indicate that creating compelling content is a challenge for them. And I understand this because we have for so long bucketed marketing and advertising in the business side of our organizations. And now we're asking these people to be creatives. And that's a big switch, and that's gonna take some time. But it's definitely one that needs to happen. So, during the days of interruption marketing, you created an ad, you put it on a billboard, you could not change it for the months that it was on that billboard, and you're done. But now it's a lot more hard work. You have to create lots of content. You are promoting that content strategically on different platforms, and you're also doing those media buys that you still have to do. We can't abandon them altogether. So, video is the king of content. It's kind of the golden jewel of content. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Seth Godin, the father of permission marketing, recently said that the web was built on words, but today it exists on video. Video is much harder to create, but much more impactful when it works. So, as if you didn't spend enough time watching puppy videos online as I do, we know that video is going to account for nearly 80% of consumer traffic by the year 2020. That means that 4 out of 5 times I'm on the internet, I'm just going to be watching videos. It's incredible. The question is, how impactful are videos, particularly on ticket sales? I want to watch a really impactful video and then talk about it. That is stellar content. That video is great for a couple reasons. One, music is notoriously hard to create video content around. It is just not as visual as dance or visual arts, sculpture. So definitely music organizations struggle when it comes to creating video content, and I get that. The other reason why this is great is because the 92nd Street Y is a New York City institution, and they have understood that and created content for a New Yorker. Those images are my city. They make me love New York, even though it's really hot and sweaty right now. It's really a joy to watch that video for me, and makes me think, they understand me. They understand what's going on in my life. Maybe what's on their stage will be interesting for me. We know that video influences online behavior from Google, where we learned that 45% of people who watch a video think more favorably about the show, and 68% of people who watch a video say that it influences their purchasing behavior. That's an incredible number. We also know that people are doing a lot more research before they even leave their home about the products that they're interested in. And so we have to figure out a way to bring what's on our walls and our stages into their homes for them, which is definitely something we can do using digital. We also know that digital video not only drives conversions, it also leads to higher average order values. 88% of organizations saw an increase in conversions when they saw video added to product pages, and 50% said the AOV was higher for those who watched videos prior to making a purchase. It's pretty fantastic. So in our benchmarking study, we saw a really exciting trend. From 2015 to 2016, we saw a decrease of 27% of organizations making 1 to 5 videos, and an increase of 11% of organizations making 5 to 10 videos. So hopefully we're all getting the message, which is that video is super important to our marketing strategies overall. If you are interested in seeing more videos, we love video inspiration. You can go to our website or our YouTube reel and our YouTube page, and we create these reels of video content every year. And the goal is to create content that is not just beautiful and sparkling. It's to create content from small, medium, and large size organizations, to collect stuff with high production value and stuff shot on an iPhone, and to see what a short video or a very long form video can look like. So there's definitely some great inspiration there. So you've created all this great video content, you've put it on your website, and now you need to figure out how to get people to your website. And that is where search comes in. So in 2018, Google is your homepage. When people have questions, they turn to search for the answers. This is even more true on mobile phones, where we know that 87% of smartphone users are turning to search first and foremost when they have questions. So let's just talk a little bit about what search is, so we're all on the same page. There is paid and organic search. The paid results are the ads that you see at the top of the page. On Google, there are up to 4 ads at the top of the page. The organic results are what happens when Google combs your website, collects all the information that you have there, and then creates these ads. And the only way to improve your ranking in organic search is through search engine optimization. So we know that nearly 100% of clicks on non-branded keywords come from ads in those top slots. Let's talk what this means. Non-branded keywords are things like arts in Toronto. Branded keywords are things like Toronto Media Arts Centre. So Toronto Media Arts Centre should own the authority on their name and their website, and it should rank pretty high in organic, which is great. But if they are looking for people who type in arts in Toronto and want to learn more, they want that ad to show up at the top, because that's where all the clicks are for people who are discovering things. This is even more important on a mobile phone, a smaller device. There's not much space for ads, so you get maybe 2 ads that come up above the fold, we would say, and then you have to scroll to see anything extra. Someone asked me yesterday how many pages people are willing to go through in search results to find what they want, and I was like, no pages. It's got to be on the first page of search results. How many times do I click through to the next page and the next page and the next page? I don't, and I don't think many people do, which is scary, and that's why we have to put time and energy into making sure that our search engine optimization is strong and that we're creating ads for search results as well. Also, search is an incredible demonstration of intent for purchases. 77% of people who use a search engine in their research end up making a purchase. This is a super interesting stat here that I almost don't believe. It's from Google, and Google says that 89% of clicks are incremental to organic clicks. That makes no sense, so let's talk about what that is. Lots of marketers question whether paid ads are just cannibalizing the traffic they could be getting from organic ads, right? That makes sense. So Google said, let's see if that's actually true. And they did some studies where they removed the paid ads and tracked whether people clicked on the organic ads that showed up instead. And they didn't, 89% of the time. If all you're doing is organic advertising, that's great, but you're only getting about 11% of the clicks you could be doing with paid advertising on search. I find that just to be incredible. So Search is another way to use the permission marketing structure, and let's look at some examples of that. You want to be engaging with all your different audiences along the marketing funnel. So top of funnel searches, such as family activities in Seattle, would have specific ads that are linked to the keywords that people are searching with. Maybe my website, my ad says, exhibitions are family friendly. But then in middle of funnel, people know they want theater in Seattle. So my ads are specifically geared towards that. And last but not least, my customers and my evangelists are searching specifically for what they want. So a Raisin in the Sun tickets, they are gonna see my ad, which says, buy tickets now. They're gonna click through and make a purchase. It's what we learned that 77% of people are doing. So it's a really great way to both communicate with your audiences that know who you are and to find new audiences, or for new audiences to find you, really. So that's everything we've prepared for today. I want to take some time to answer some questions if you have any. I hope this brought a little bit of clarity to the digital marketing landscape, and we can all keep learning how to get our priorities together. So just a recap of everything, we discussed mobile, social storytelling, video, and search. And if you're looking for more information from CI Resources, you can text Talk Nerdy to me to 393939. You will get today's presentation, our 2 studies. You will get a link to those the video reels that you want, and more resources like a social content calendar. Creating social is hard. Doing the research of what to put on social is hard. And so we've done that for you and found all the arts-related holidays out there. So you can create organic content without digging through the internet for it. We have also created a call to action generator, which is such a fun tool. You can see all of that. So the idea is that it functions kind of like a, what are those machines in a slot machine, thank you, man. And so you can create fun calls to action that are not just buy tickets, visit our website, register here. You can choose, we've got experiences for you. You can choose, let's make this fun official. So it's a really great way to just keep that conversation with your audiences going without getting salesy for them. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. I'd love to take some questions if you have them. Anybody? Okay. Oh, yeah.
When you were showing all the image content, it was all on an Instagram format. And you were talking before that Facebook is something key.
Yeah.
Were you looking at kind of using that Instagram visual tool as something that gets across on Facebook?
I don't think they were all Instagram. I think they were all mobile devices. Facebook can give you your ads, how they look both on desktop and how they look on mobile, which is usually similar to how it'll look on Instagram. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so the back end of it is exactly the same. You can do the same great targeting on Instagram, and it is considered like Facebook platform. Yeah. Anybody else? I think I saw one more, yeah.
I'm just curious to know like the ways that technology like Alexa and like how things are
Yeah,
how that's affecting all of this, because this is people kind of taking stuff in.
totally.
How are you seeing that?
That's a great question. Search is hugely impacted by voice searches, and Google isn't able to tell us specifically which searches are voice, though we are able to notice patterns in voice searches, like whole sentences. Where is the nearest pharmacy, as opposed to pharmacy and then like looking on a map. So we are able to see that the number of voice searches is growing incredibly and affects the way we have to do search marketing strategy. There's a lot of resources out there through Google about how that's changing, but it is having a huge impact. Yes.
Does that like play into
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, the keywords that you're using and targeting and the ad copy that you're using is all to get people who are like on the go while they're walking, looking for the next thing, using voice searches. It's almost become a third screen, if you will, because I've got the TV on, I'm looking at the recipe on my phone, and then I say, Alexa, where can I buy flour? And that's how it's working.
Is that something that we should be collectively considering, even if we're not like a machine yet?
Totally. I think if you feel like you're not prioritizing search yet, I think prioritize it in the most foundational ways now. And then when you feel like you're doing it really well, say like, what's the next step in it? And that might be voice activated searches. Yeah, that's kind of the idea of like, should I be advertising on Pinterest? And it's like, slow down. Let's do Facebook really well, and then we'll get to Pinterest, I promise. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about search. Like, how do you guys at Capacity Interactive go about setting up a search strategy?
Sure.
Way to research.
Sure.
Decide on those keywords.
Yeah, so Google has a lot of tools to help you discover what keywords are actually being searched in the real world in real time, which is great. But what we rely on mostly is what's on a client's website, because Google wants two things. One, to be relevant, and two, to make money. And the only way to be as relevant as possible and ensure that people are clicking so they are making money is that the ad that they are seeing directly relates to the keywords they searched and directly that relates to the page that they land on. Nobody likes it when they click on an ad and the page they land on is not at all what was advertised. That's a bad user experience, and Google has found out who is trying to game the system and do that. So it's really all about what's on your website. For search engine optimization, there's a lot that you can do on the back end of your website to be increasing your organic discoverability. But when it comes to paid ads, it's about linking the content you have on your website back to the ads that you're creating and the keywords that you believe people are using at the same time. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you have this great kit or things that you offer by text.
Yeah.
Which you said is a great lead generator, which is awesome.
Yeah.
My question is, why do you do it by text and not, say, email subscription?
I think when you text, it'll say like, put in your email and we'll send it to you. Also, we're mobile first, so we text it. It's much easier for me to open my text on my phone and send that than I think it is to like go into my mail and like type an email address in. So we're making it mobile first. Yeah. Yeah.
Just a question for you for the video ads. Have you noticed anything with landscape video versus vertical?
Yes. Yes. Landscape video is the way to go. There's nothing I dislike more than when I'm scrolling through on my mobile and I can't fit the whole image or video on the screen. So landscape ads are definitely the way to go. I think Facebook says 19 by 16 by 9. 16 by 9 is the way to go. That's always changing based on what people are doing and the data they're seeing, but I believe that's as of today. The other thing we're just seeing in terms of video is shorter is better. Facebook says that like engaged users are watching a second and a half of your video. The optimal length of a video is 15 seconds. And I know that the teams at the operas that I work with are like, I can't tell a story in 15 seconds. And I get it, it's hard. But you have to create the content for what the users are going to consume. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Just on that same note, would you say that's the same if you're buying video pre-roll, like on YouTube or something like that? Or would you say it's really...
Even shorter. So YouTube has these 6-second bumper ads that they've been pushing really incredibly. If you Google like best 6-second bumper ads. There's so many out there. They even commissioned a bunch of filmmakers at Sundance last year, 2 years ago, to create 6-second ads to say, like, even the classiest of filmmakers can be doing this. They are not like terrible little ads, formats that you can't fit anything into. They tell real stories in 6 seconds. And I believe that is the only ad format on YouTube that you cannot skip through. You have to watch the full 6 seconds. Yeah, so YouTube definitely subscribes to the idea that video content can be short. Yeah.
So do you guys work with organizations to kind of help define their stories as well? Because if we're like a smaller organization and still trying to figure out like who are we?
Mm-hmm.
We fit into all this. Like I see a lot of the brands that you're working with are very established institutions.
Mm-hmm.
What about more like newer brands who are just kind of breaking in and want to make it like how would you approach all that?
That's a great question. We actually see like a lot more demand for that in recent years as everybody is trying to do digital as opposed to just the big organizations that are well established. And so we have started doing some content creation with our clients and kind of storyboarding and developing the ideas. We are not a creative agency, so we're not going to do that 100% for organizations, but we love the idea of a partnership, of working together, and so it's definitely something we are open to and see that there's a big need for. Yeah. Anybody else? The link, yes. There you go. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank Molly for coming, making the trip from New York and doing the presentation. We were yesterday in Ottawa and here today. Thank you so much. A big thank you again to Canada Council for the Arts and their Digital Strategy Fund. And if you are an arts organization and you have something digital in mind, look on Canada Council's website and check into the Digital Strategy Fund. There will be a deadline again this fall, so definitely look into that. I'd like to thank again the Cultural Human Resources Council for partnering with us on this series and Toronto Media Arts Centre for hosting us. Next week, we will have in Ottawa and Toronto wrap up sort of evening networking events with food and drinks and a really great presentation on art and video games with Jared Huntley from Cleveland Game Developers. He's also a Microsoft Civic Tech Fellow, a professor of game design, author of game programming for artists, all sorts of really great things. So his talk's gonna be really fantastic. And I also wanted to mention before we go, Interactive Ontario is undertaking a second edition of our economic impact study on interactive digital media in Ontario. And the deadline to fill in the survey is tomorrow. So if your company is working in the interactive digital media space, we'd really love for you to fill in the survey so we can get some updated data on the economic impact of the industry. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. If you're here in person, we have lunch out there. So feel free to grab some lunch, meet some people, ask Molly some questions if you have others. And to everyone on the live stream, thank you for joining.